Like Christian said, my name is Anthony Puzzo. I'm on I support our state and local government team out of Washington, D.C. And with me is John Thomas, Chief Performance Officer from the city of D.C. And how many people, is this your first time here at the CIO Summit? Oh, a lot of hands. Have you guys been to UC before? A lot of hands for UC? Okay. I would like to ask a favor of you that have been in this is your experience here. You had a great time the next 2 days. Please go back and tell some of your peers and invite them for next year. So your chief data officer, chief performance officer, if you have an executive, please bring them here. I think this is a very important conference. A couple of workshops these 2 days. We've seen a lot of success come out of this. A short story is a couple of years ago, we had the Florida DOT CIO out here. She came, she saw our field operations workflows, and they have nearly over 1,000 people in their e-maintenance team using Survey 123. It totally transformed the way they do data collection in the field. So even little things like that have high impact. I think what we're going to show you today has a high impact, and I would say a relatively low level of effort for what you can do with this kind of technology. So I've had the pleasure and the privilege of working with the District of Columbia the last 10 years I've been here at Esri. They do amazing work. They are kind of a unique geography. They're a town, they're a city, they're a state, they're a county, they're a federal agency. Whatever the day the wind brings that day, that's what they are. And so they have a lot of challenges. They have a growing population. Their daytime population almost doubles what they have on their kind of current population. They're going to have a lot more growth in the area now that Amazon HQ2 is coming right next door in Arlington. So there's a lot of challenges that they deal with. And they do a lot of work with our technology. They map out a lot of different assets. A lot of the different departments do amazing thing with our technology, but DOT does some really, really amazing stuff. And one of the change agents there is John Thomas. And so I want to introduce him and kind of take you through the story of DC DOT and show you some of the work that we've been doing there with Hub. So, John?
Thank you, Anthony. Good afternoon, everybody. Let's get my welcome, and we want to kind of walk through what drove us to kind of roll out Hub, and it kind of starts with a little story, and then we'll get into the Hub itself. So, as someone who works for the government, we exist, or primarily we exist to serve the people, right? And almost everything that we do, we are doing it to try to provide information to the public. We're trying to either inform them, engage them, right, or work with them, or trying to identify needs or issues they see or perceive in their neighborhood or maybe in their place of work. And our role is to try to help reduce those issues and move it on. The perception, right, of the public and what the government's doing to help that or inform them or engage with them is something that we really pay attention to, because this is what affects our budget. This affects how we're going to roll projects out. It affects the direction in which maybe the mayor or our director wants to move in. So this is something that we need to kind of ensure that the perception of what we're doing and what we're doing for the public aligns with what their needs are. So when Anthony and I were talking about this, we were talking about how do we impact people, right? As a transportation group, we impact everybody. We're one of those lucky groups that no matter what we do, we make 50% of the people happy, and we make the other 50% of the people angry, right? It doesn't matter where you live, we're impacting you. We are on every street eventually. We're in every alley, we're everywhere. So we looked at it as me as a resident. I live in the district. My house is up at the top in the black, and this would be my bike. This is my bike commute to work, and the purple lines are all the projects that we have going on with the Department of Transportation that could impact my ride to work or my trip to work, right? We happen to have our office next to the Washington Nationals Stadium, so we often get bothered by games and delays or starts or early games. But as a person that lives, plays, and works, we want to be able to share this information. People are busy, and no one wants to be late if you're picking up your kids or trying to get home. So a real life example here of, I want to know where these things are and I want to know how long they're going to last. How we kind of started, we ran into issues where as we launched these big projects for our road construction or a streetscape project or a bridge construction, we consult a lot of that work out, and the consultant builds these websites. The websites are not part of the district's website, and then funding dries up, and so does the website. And then we get links to websites where they expire, maybe they have HTML issues, and other issues that we found that when you click them. In this example, we were about to do a groundbreaking with the mayor for a Maryland Ave project. 3 days before the groundbreaking, the contract was over, the consultants pulled out, the website went down, and so we had to figure out a way to get something stood up. So we stood up a very text-based website on our Drupal DC government website, which is extremely frustrating to work from. It's not dynamic. So we wanted to we had already built Hub, and this was the driving factor for really for our director to say we've got to do a different thing in a different way. So we're going to go into our actual Hub site. We looked at Hub a different way. We understood the idea of like initiative and the idea of to follow it, and what we saw as the Department of Transportation, we have a ton of initiatives. We don't really have just one thing. Maybe one thing we might have is Vision Zero. That's kind of a common theme throughout all our work. But every study we do, every livability program that we run, every project we build, all of those are important to the residents, and they affect people in different ways, right? We wanted to have a landing site that brought people. If they're interested in a study, most likely they're going to be also interested in the project that study is going to give birth to, right? And something we're going to build. We wanted a site and create a space where people would come, we could direct people to, and hopefully it was engaging enough that they would come back on their own. No one's going to come to a 7-paragraph text government website again, right? You're going to come there once and say, thanks, that was great, and never come back. And it's easier to text somebody or email somebody and ask them why this project hasn't started. We also want to create the space where the team could use it, right? We didn't want to have an internal system, and the director didn't want multiple systems that we're working on. Why can't the same space that the public uses, the mayor can use, and so can our internal staff use? To go even further, this is how we hope and will work toward is the program managers actually presenting at ANC and community meetings is to open up and go right into Hub and do their presentation. Why create stagnant PowerPoints? So we'll go through. We're going to look at active construction, and we're going to look at the Maryland Ave site. So when you go into the Maryland Ave site, what we did is we built a template to kind of get away from all the other websites where we had people that had different color combinations. They had the wrong DDOT, they had the wrong red, the wrong font. We built templates to have the right red, the right blue. We worked with our communications team to make sure everything's locked in. So when we need to build another project, we're just going to clone this project template, and we're going to have all the right colors and all the right fonts and everything moving forward. And we built the template to have certain features so that every project would have the same feeling. So if you're a customer or a resident, you're going to come and look at it. So the first step would be the status. When you click, you're going to have a timeline or a status bar. For construction projects, when does construction start? When do we have road closures and traffic impacts? And then when are we going to have a grand opening? Of course, we can the beauty of this is we can change this very quickly. Whereas the website, we have to go through a lot of red tape, so to speak, to make those changes. After that, this is where we post all of our public meetings. The beauty of this is that we can plan out this is a 2-year project. We expect to finish sometime in 2021. We're going to lose a lot of people along the way if we do this through PowerPoint and we do this through email or we do this through a text-based website. This allows us to be dynamic, allows us to put as many meetings as we can plan in the future, and it also allows us to go backward to show where we've been. One of the best features about having the event is when you click the event, it loads up, and it allows you to have a lot more functionality, right? So you have the ability to attend, you can share, and you can decide at that point to follow, right? So you can now, as a resident, follow the Maryland Ave site. Maybe I live nearby, and this is a project that I'm really interested in. Maybe I don't really care about the bridge. I don't care about the other sites that are going on because they're not near my house. Allows the resident to follow this specific site. And so anything we're going to do to the site, they're going to be able to come back to it and get updates. As we go down, it gives us a space to put a background. As we were talking earlier, allows us to put in our maps and our tools that we've already spent a lot of time building, so we can insert those. Those are being driven right out of our database from our project management application, so everything can be built and moved into there, and we know we can control it. The best thing for my team is we want to make sure people are working from the data sets. We don't want people to build maps from other things or build from spreadsheets. Allows us to put in some specific media and street shots, and then further down, it allows you to talk about the project information, and then we're going to set these standard plans to store the design plans, maps and data related to the project, and then also traffic studies as they relate. Almost every project we have traffic studies. And then at the end, it gives us a chance to engage with the citizen. We don't have everyone wanting to come to night meetings and talk about projects, right? They're busy, they have things to do. We feel this will be the best tool for us to get a whole nother set of group of people that don't come to those meetings. Their input's still valuable, but they can come and do this through the survey. We have other ideas of being able to drop a pin on the map and let us, using Survey 123 or using Geoform, where they can say, here along this route, this is where I have a problem, please address it in your project, or at least be aware of it. So this is the template. So if we were to build Wisconsin Ave project, we would clone this same template and work on that and just change the content and change the information and change the map so people will feel like they're in a DDOT branded DDOT place, and also we don't have dead websites that are going to disappear. And then you can follow us again at the bottom is another chance to follow, so you can keep updated on anything that goes on with this project, and then we can get back to you as well. And Anthony's going to show you, I think, right, how to add a video.
Yep. Yeah, so that follow button actually comes right through social media. So somebody can sign up for an account, they become part of that community, part of that hub, and they can follow that initiative. But making these sites is relatively easy. So it's a what you see is what you get user interface. So I can go in here, and if you wanted to add in Wisconsin, you can go in here and you can kind of just edit this. It's free form text. Right, so all that is easily changeable. You can do that through the template or just the site builder here. You can add in all these different free-form texts. You can put in your own headers and footers in here. So if you have your own HTML that you want to match your branded website, you can put in your header and footer. You can set the styles here. You can change the fonts if you want to. But the other day, they had a groundbreaking at the Maryland Avenue project. And so there's a lot of different themes that you can put in here, or layouts. So you can put in rows, you can put in text, cards, web maps, charts. I want to put in a video, and so we can just drag and drop this video in here. I'm going to go to our trusty friend YouTube and simply just drop in that video. And now you have that video part of that. You hit save and send, and that's just part of the site. And now you have a full kind of interactive website that you can add to. So adding little features like that is just as easy as just dragging and dropping. A lot of the templates have that same functionality, so you can kind of save that template, and anybody who's on the team can edit that. One of the nice pieces about Hub is that you can track the usage of how these sites and pages and applications are being used. So just kind of either counts like this, or that follow button actually goes into logging the individual people who follow that specific initiative. So I can see who is tracking like the Clean City initiative. And if I have an event or a webcast or some kind of town hall meeting, I know exactly who to invite now that's interested in that. That's why it's really important for these projects, because you never know who's really people are only, they really only care about what's close to them. And so those people are probably going to be the ones that are going to sign up for this project. And so here this is the back end of Hub and how you can build out and see comments and events and sites. It's pretty easy to get started with Hub. You could use one of our out-of-the-box templates. So we offer about 8 of these templates that you can just use out of the box for Vision Zero or performance management, which is really popular, or you can create your own template. So this is the real power behind why a lot of our users like to see this, because you could build your own template, you can have your own design, put in your own theme, your own headers and footers, and kind of design that story and that framework, and then add in all the content that you want. And that's what makes this kind of really powerful, is to kind of design this and share this out. You can adopt one of these templates here that we offer, and the back end of this has a nice collaboration tool built into this site. So you can actually edit the site here, but you can also build out your team. And so I can choose that, myself and John and maybe Christian want to be part of this team to do the CIO Summit website or some kind of event. And the 3 of us have editing rights to that team. And here's where you can kind of store your events and your dashboards, and everything is kind of tied to that specific initiative. So it's kind of really easy to get started with this and track your progress and really launch them right away. I think one of the powerful ends of things, because I get asked this a lot, is how do you get started with this? And I would say the foundation for this really started out of the Open Data program. And we offer an open data solution for any of our customers. If you have ArcGIS Online, you have an open data solution that comes included with it. DC uses this. They share over 1,200 different data sets of tree information, parcel information, street lights, parking meters. They also do a lot of tabular information, so purchase card transactions, moving violations, parking tickets. A lot of that stuff gets shared with this and then organized in a way that you can add and see these applications like real property or 3D zoning right here in these applications. One thing that DC did really well is they're kind of aligning a lot of their data initiatives, and this is something I see a lot of our GIS folks really wanting to do, to talk about their high-level data sets they spend a lot of money on. So addressing is not easy. It's not like you can just spin up addressing and everybody has an address database. So what they do is they talk about everything that they do with addressing, and this is all through a Hub site. So everything you see here, so everything that's included with their addressing database is all here. And so this is how they kind of got started on the road to using Hub. And then over the holidays, the mayor came back and she saw something from overseas in London and said, we want to do that. And so in the matter of about 2 weeks, they set up these pages under the mayor's site. So this is the mayor.dc.gov. And what she has is 6 different landing pages of all the key performance indicators that she cares about. So things like River Smart Homes and the number of public trees under the Environment tab, and then a nice little dashboard of how many trees they planted since October 1st, which DC plants over 10,000 trees a year. So pretty amazing to kind of call on that. And then other data sets that are associated with that. And so these sites were all divided so you can see different information products about public safety and other things. So a really nice way of kind of getting started and then really building out the Hub sites, kind of building on Jack's video there. The urban forestry team under John's, I'm going to go one more, Mike. Under John's team, our friend Earl there, he does amazing work. And one of the things that he does is when they cut down trees, they have a new milling process of how they mill down the tree, they save the tree, and then they mill it into pieces like park benches and stools and other tables that they install at kids' schools. So they really want to tell that story about how they do this. And so they put together a Hub site to talk about this one specific program, which I think is a great way of using Hub into that focused storytelling mentality where you have everything here that talks about the people involved with this, the benches and stumps that they do, the progress, and then if you're ready to order, they have a really simple Survey 123 site that they built out that you can request one. So really great examples of how they got started with this. And then the vision is to build this into templates and have repeatable branded products for a lot of their different initiatives. So Mike, back to the slide. Yeah, thanks.
So,
oh, John, I guess to do a lot of this,
yeah.
sorry. So I guess to do a lot of this,
Yeah.
you would need executive support, right?
That's correct. One of the challenges I think we all talked about earlier in the day is just how do you get everyone on board, right? And how do you get this moving and going forward? We have a great director, and he is very open, and he comes from a community engagement background, so he really wants to see all of our effort, all of our work to be focused in that what is the output is how do we engage the community and make sure that they're part of the problem. Whether the answer they like or not, that's a separate thing, but at least they're going to be informed along the way so they know what we're doing and why we're doing things. My team, we have a performance cluster, and so Megan Marie on our performance team puts a lot of time into doing the analysis and analyzing the data that our teams bring in. James Graham from our GIS team is building all these tools, dashboards, maps, feature services, web services, so we can consume those. Right, our Amanda's working on building products that allow us to consume those so we can see the results of everyone's work in our projects. And Octo, as Anthony was showing, creates this great open data website or site so that we can bring data into our projects, and our operations team go out and collect data on a daily basis. What all that does for us is it makes everything dynamic, right? What we were talking about earlier, Jack was talking about is if we're going to go out and collect information on trees and potholes and guardrails and road conditions and PCI, that should be what's driving our maps, which then drive in Hub. So when those changes are made in the field, that whole system of systems is being moved dynamically, right? And we don't have to maintain as much, but also it's someplace when people come back, they can see change. And kind of what started my conversation with our director about 6 months ago about Hub was just, these are the questions we get all the time, right? How many things do I have? I need something now. Where are our crews? Where did we do work last week? I need a map of a project for a community meeting. We weren't really working in a sustainable fashion, right? We were just building these one-off things, and Hub provided that opportunity for us to start to build something that when someone asks a question, and we're going to build Hub out a lot into our operations team. If someone has a question about streetlights, they're going to come to the Hub page and they're going to have maps of the streetlights, counts, and they're going to have the data. We shouldn't have to make that stuff over and over again. I know how many streetlights we have. I know because we collect data on it every day and make the changes. So we should harness that. So in comes Hub, which I think can help us drive the questions back. So when people ask these questions, we want to send them back to Hub to find those answers.
Yep. And so thanks, John. So Hub is an easy-to-configure cloud platform that helps organize your people, your data, and your initiatives to accomplish your goals. And this becomes a really nice way of kind of presenting and telling your story. So it helps you inform the constituents of what you're doing. It helps them engage on what you're doing so that they can participate in events and other town meetings. I think this helps eliminate a little bit of the, I didn't know you were doing this on my block, or how do I sign up to learn more about it? This helps that listening and aligning the priorities of that neighborhood, and it helps clearly communicate what you're doing in that area. So moving from that text-based site to a more engaging way of telling that story. So it's really bridging that gap between the government website, which we're not going to replace that. Although it is a bit of a content management system, it's really to bridge that gap between the whole site and the data, apps, and analysis that your teams are doing, and to bring that into the middle to wire that up and tell a very focused story, like that wood reuse program or like the projects, to really inform, listen, and monitor of what's going on in that community. So what you get with Hub is community identities. So when you hit the follow button, you actually become a member of that organization. So you can join events, you can add data, you can be part of the team, and you can learn about other things that are happening. And then you get this initiative template. So this isn't just a website, it's actually a whole package of the team, the collaboration of the team, the content that's involved in it, any of the information products, the key performance indicators, and the website itself that you can do a responsive design website and spin that up within a few minutes. So there's a lot of activities. You saw a little bit from DC. We're also doing a similar project. The state of Maryland DOT has a vision to replace a lot of their project stuff so they can build that into easy to use, almost like an executive summary of what's going on with the project. So the overview of it, how do people learn about more, the events, the detailed information, where they are in the project, and so on. And then building out the surveys so you can have that two-way conversation between the folks interested in that and what they are. City of Coral Gables, Florida, down in the Miami area, is using this for a lot of their smart city initiatives. So they're bringing in a lot of their IoT information and how they're collaborating with the University of Miami there on a lot of different smart city initiatives there in Miami. And then right here in the state of California, working on the Census 2020. So one of the nice parts about ArcGIS Hub is that you can actually give mobile applications like the Collector or Survey 123 to nonprofits, volunteers, constituents to go out and do surveys. So that's part of their Census 2020 outreach, is to go out and give this information out to these volunteer groups and nonprofits so they can go educate people on why it's important to give your information to census. So we kind of gave you a lot of information here. We showed you how DC is using it. We showed you some of the examples now, what Hub is. And so what I would charge you with is, what's your initiative? Do you have a wood reuse program or a project or some other kind of data, maybe a data initiative program that you can use Hub today? I think it's a high impact, really low level of effort type of application to use to really drive some new communication tools. So thank you for your time. Thank you, John, for presenting with us. And we'll...
Thank you. That was great.